You ready?
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. Through storytelling and conversational interviews, this weekly radio show offers listeners firsthand insight into starting and running a business, the ups and downs of risk-taking, and the commonalities of successful people. Connect with Kerry through her candid, often funny, and informative weekly blog, where you'll read and can comment on life as wife, mother, daughter, and entrepreneur. And now, it's time for Kerry McCoy to get all up in your business.
Thank you, Chris. Like Chris said, I'm Kerry McCoy, and it's time for me to get up in your business. But before we start, I want to introduce the people at the table. We have who you just heard from, Chris Cannon, my co-host, who'll be managing the board and taking your calls today. He's going to give out the phone number here in a little while. So Say hello, Chris.
Hello.
And I just got to bust you out.
I know.
He's leaving me. This
I'm
is his
sorry.
next to the last week.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's been fun.
Thank you. You're great.
It's been a blast.
You got a great voice, but you got a great opportunity in another state, and I'm happy for you. I'm always happy when people get to do things they love.
Thank you.
And recording our show today to make a podcast available next week is our technician, Jason Malik, from Arise Studio in Conway, Arkansas. If right now you're sitting at your computer, you might want to watch us live on flagandbanner.com's Facebook page. It's kind of fun to see what goes on behind the scenes, and at the breaks, it's real-time reality radio. And before the show today, we were showing Pat, my guest today's artwork, because we have artists on today. We were showing artwork from my guest today, and telling stories. So it's always fun to log into the flagandbanner.com Facebook page. If for some reason you miss any part of this show or want to hear it again, there's a way, and Chris is going to tell you how.
You can listen to all UIYB past and present interviews by going to flagandbanner.com and then click on Radio Show. Also, you can join our email list or like us on Facebook. You'll get a reminder notification the day of the show with a sneak peek of that day's guest. All right, back to you, Kerry.
I'm going to miss that voice. It's good, isn't it? He's good. This show, Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, began as a platform for me, a small business owner and a guest, to pay forward our experiential knowledge in a conversational way. Originally, my team and I thought it would appeal to entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs, but it seems to have a wider audience because, after all, who isn't inspired by everyday people's American-made stories? To see people in their totality is humanizing. Don't we all thirst to connect and make sense of the overcomplicated world? And on this show, we have the luxury of time to go deeper than a soundbite or a headline. It's no secret that successful people work hard, but other common traits found in many of my guests are the heart of a teacher, belief in a higher power, and creativity, because business is creative. My guests today are the epitome of creativity, husband and wife, artist extraordinaire Tracee and Pat Matthews. Pat is an Arkansas-born artist and outdoorsman, a sensitive man who paints beautifully, and a man's man who hunts, fishes, and pees in the wild. I couldn't resist that one. His youthful and first subjects were the landscapes of Arkansas's lakes and woods. Today, he is still moved by nature as he paints impressionistic barky tree landscapes, not just of Arkansas, but of Colorado, New Mexico, and other sometimes snowy mountaintops. Pat is also known for his flag paintings that we showed on Facebook before the show that were inspired on 9/11 by the horrific events of the Twin Tower bombing in New York City. It is the ultimate compliment to be copied, and his flag painting style and theme has been copied by many, but there is only one Pat Matthews. Pat's wife, Tracee Matthews, they just told me 6 years, although y'all been together 10, who I also have known forever, has been an incoming producing artist since 2000. You've probably seen her still lifes of wine bottles and vines hanging or painted on the wall of one of your favorite restaurants or businesses. Tracee will paint on anything, anywhere. Today, Tracee's colorful cityscapes are deeply textured and a favorite of the Greater Little Rock Chamber of Commerce for showing off our city in an artistic way. And if you need to give a little love for Christmas, she makes the cutest and affordable little 4x4 and 6x6 inch heart paintings. Are you still making those, Tracee?
I am.
Both of, yeah, don't forget to talking in the mic, honey.
Oh, and Santa's.
There you go. Both of our artists today sell nationwide and have paintings hanging in the Arkansas governor's mansion. Together, this husband and wife team spend their days talking, painting, and living the life of accomplished artists. It is a pleasure to welcome to the table husband and wife artist extraordinaire and my longtime friends, Tracee and Pat Matthews.
Thank you for having us, Kerry.
I've been trying to get you for a while, but y'all travel all the time.
We just got back from Colorado 2 days ago.
Painted more barky trees?
Well, I'm in a gallery out there in Beaver Creek, and Tracee is hoping to be in a gallery in Vail.
Oh.
And Vail and Beaver Creek are about 10 miles apart, but it's beautiful out there. There's snow on the mountains.
Already.
Yeah, already. And so I did a bunch of paintings while I'm there, because the reason why I like going out there is, first of all, the inspiration, and then second of all, my paintings are very thick, and they take a month and a half to dry. So I'd rather just get out there, get focused, paint 10 paintings in a couple of weeks, and just leave them all on the wall, and they like it when I come out there. Plus, my clients, you've been out there with me.
Oh, I have. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's just a beautiful place to be right there underneath the Hyatt in the ice rink area, the gallery. I mean, it's just...
And people come from everywhere.
They do. And
But
they
it's
come
international.
International. They come by, they say, you know, and they'll be like, you know, we've been looking at your work doing this for the last 10 years, and we want one. We finally want one. So I do a lot of selling right off the easel out there.
Because you paint right in public.
Yeah, I paint right out in front.
Not very many people do that. All right, let's go back to your early life. I did not mention in the opening that you are a Matthews from the prominent North Little Rock family that developed Lakewood, but you are.
Yes, I am.
You grew up roaming those woods where McCain Mall meets I-30.
Right.
Those were woods.
Yeah, they were. They were.
Tell us about that life and how it developed your love for landscapes.
Well, growing up, I feel very fortunate. My great-grandfather and grandfather built the old mill. You know, I came from a great-grandfather who had a lot of vision, and one of his visions was to pay for the education of all of his great-grandchildren. So I was able to go to college for free, which is the biggest gift I could have been given. My brother Mike went to Stanford. My sister Martha went to Georgetown. I went to University of Arizona. My brother Bill went to University of Montana. And so you know, that's probably the biggest gift. And then loving the lakes and fishing and all that kind of stuff. We grew up in the woods over there. And so I don't know how that leads to my painting career, but it did lead to the being so fortunate and being able to go to architecture school at the University of Arizona is what led to my painting career.
I don't know about that. Maybe because you love to paint and draw that you ended up picking architecture as your career. I don't know which one came first, the chicken or the egg.
Yeah, well, I did love to paint and draw, and I'd won several art contests.
In high school?
In high school. But I didn't want to be a starving artist.
Yeah.
So I never knew an artist that wasn't a starving artist. Mm-hmm. So I figured I'd better get something serious, but it involved drawing, not necessarily painting. So I went to University of Arizona. I got my degree. I moved back here to Arkansas and started my own little firm. I designed a house for a well-known artist here in Little Rock. His name's Barry Thomas.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Barry traded me out architecture plans for art lessons. And I would paint at night and do architecture during the day. And I did that for probably 6-7 years. And finally, I called this life coach and I said, how do I just paint? Because that's what I wanted to do, you know? And she said, it's real simple. You just quit architecture and paint. And I said, well, I've got 6 jobs. I said, I can't just quit architecture and paint. She said, have you ever seen the movie The Matrix? And I said, yes. And the Matrix movie is about living a life that's not real, but you think it is. These aliens have taken over, whatever. It's a cool movie. And she goes, you have created your own matrix and you can change it just as fast, okay? And I was like, really? So I was at my own little firm. I put her on hold. I said, would you hold for a second? I called the Cromwell firm. I was working for them. I said, do you mind? I was doing a job for them. And I said, do you mind if I quit your job? I just want to paint. They said, oh, no, we've got another kid in here, another guy. We're going to put him on it. And then I called this church I was working on, and they were like, oh, no big deal. The contractor's got. I quit all 6 jobs in one night. Nobody cared. Nobody cared at all. I had, $4,000 in the bank, and I just started painting. The very next day I walked in, I didn't even turn my computer on, just started painting. I scheduled a show up at local color gallery here in Little Rock. Mm-hmm. And that first show, I sold all 48 paintings in one night.
No way.
Yeah.
That's a dream come true.
So then I was like, okay, this is it. I mean, I got my biggest paycheck that I'd ever gotten in my life. And so then I had another show, and it was a sold out 50 painting show. That was about 4 months later. So I said, this is it. So I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, got in a gallery there, lived there for 9 years. Ended up getting into Aspen, Colorado. And now I'm in Beaver Creek. And then finally I just said, well, I'm pretty set up here. I'm going to come back to Little Rock, Arkansas, where I love it. Because I have a place on the Little Red River. I love the people here. I love Arkansas. I really do. I mean, I grew up here fishing, hunting, and so now what I do and my wife and I do, and Tracee when I met Tracee, I moved back here and met Tracee. She's a full-time artist. Mm-hmm. And
we don't talk to her and find out what she does.
Yeah, but she was painting full-time too. And so then she went out with me, used to travel with me to go to Santa Fe for shows and stuff. She got in a gallery in Santa Fe. And so now we travel the country together and paint. And, it's turned out it's so much better for me than architecture, because I'm not dealing with all these outside influences of, oh, the contractor didn't make it. Oh, it's way over budget. Oh, blah, 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 Yeah. And if you don't like the painting, all my clients are now happy, because in architecture, you have to hire an architect to get a commercial building permit. But in art, if you don't want to buy the painting, you don't have to buy it.
Yeah.
So the people that buy my work are like, hey, when you're coming through Dallas, come by and have dinner with us, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's happy, Yeah. I mean, I'm not forcing you to pay the money for a painting.
That's a really interesting thought. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
So, Tracee, you were a full-time artist. I think it started in 2000 when you had your baby girl.
That's right.
And yeah, we got to get her by the microphone.
Like here.
Yeah, there you go. Tracee is so tactile. She's leaning all the way over and touching her husband through the whole thing. She's having a hard time. Look, we should have put their microphones closer together.
Probably should have.
So, Tracee, you were painting. I started buying your paintings before I ever met you. I don't know why they speak to me, but they speak to a lot of people. Your paintings are on walls around town. They're of course, you paint on canvas, but you paint everything. So tell me when you had Griffin and you decided you were what were you doing? You went to college also.
I did. I started out as an art major, and of course, way before I had Griffin. But when I started college, I was an art major, and had a crossroads, kind of like Pat did. You have professors saying, oh, you'll never make it as an artist. I even did some paintings, went outside, to some people I've very much respected in the art community. And they said, oh, you're talented, Tracee, but you will never make it as an artist.
Why?
I don't know. I always believed in myself, but they just didn't think I had what it took. And so instead of listening to my drive and passion that I've had since a little girl, I knew at 7 I wanted to be a full-time artist. I switched gears, was at a crossroads. I changed my major to interior design, which actually is a lot like architecture. I mean, we did sets of plans, and it wasn't so much decorating. It was, I had to draw up a full set of plans, electrical, reflected ceiling, new construction, demolition. So an interior designer works one-on-one with an architect. And when I graduated, I worked for Brenda Hogan, interior design, all through college. I think I worked for Brenda for about 7 years. And I stayed home. After I had my daughter Griffin, I had already been painting. Even my friends didn't even know that I painted. It was a love of mine. It was sort of just a little, it was full of me and inside of me, but it wasn't something I shared a long time ago until I went to college and, started out as an art major. But after I had Griffin, I was a single mom, and I started painting wine paintings. I was asked to come into a restaurant, Bella Italia. I don't know if you remember Bella Italia. And I thought, well, what subject matter am I going to paint? Well, Italian restaurants, okay, I'll paint wine. So that's how I got started painting wine. And I loved those late 10 o'clock, 10:30 phone calls from Bella Italia. You sold a painting, you know. And then switched gears, as any artist, professional artist that does it for a living. You keep evolving as an artist. So maybe 7 years ago, I have a whole new color palette now, a whole new genre of painting cityscapes, right? Mm-hmm. But I still paint wine and Santa Claus, and, you know, I'm constantly moving and trying to keep learning, you know, my trade.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can't imagine. I think this is a great place to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with husband and wife artists Tracee and Pat Matthews. We will hear what it's like to paint for a living some more. They're going to tell us where you can see Pat and paint live on stage, because he does like to paint live for free on November the 12th. We'll tell you where and how you can do that. And, of course, tell you where both Tracee and Pat exhibit their works of art and where you can buy one of these cute little Santa Claus or heart paintings for Christmas gift. We'll be back after the break.
Boost morale and patriotism with a new flag or flagpole from Arkansas's flagandbanner.com. We have poles, hardware, accessories, maintenance support, installation, and custom flags. We have flags of all kinds for the sports enthusiast, the world traveler, or history buff. We have them all. Bring in your old flag and get $5 off a new one. Consult the experts at Arkansas's flagandbanner.com. Come shop our historic location at 800 West 9th Street in Little Rock, or visit us online at flagandbanner.com.
Over 40 years ago, with only $400, Kerry founded Arkansas Flag and Banner. During the last 4 decades, the business has grown and changed, starting with door-to-door sales, then telemarketing, to mail order and catalog sales. And now, a third of their sales come through the internet. And this past year, Flag and Banner added another internet feature, live chatting. Over time, Kerry's business and leadership knowledge grew. As early as 2004, she began sharing this knowledge in her weekly blog. And then in 2009, she founded the nonprofit Friends of Dreamland Ballroom. And then in 2014, Brave Magazine was launched. Today, she's branched out into radio with this very production, podcast, and live stream on Facebook. Each week on this show, you'll hear candid conversations between her and her guest about real-world experiences on a variety of businesses and topics that we hope you'll find interesting and inspiring. If you'd like to ask Kerry a question or share your story, send an email to questions@upyourbusiness.org. That's questions with an S @upyourbusiness.org. Or send her a message on flagandbanner.com's Facebook page.
All right, you're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, and I'm speaking today with Tracee and Pat Matthews, nationally successful oil painters that just happen to be married and live in Little Rock, Arkansas. Before the break, we talked about how actually I know both of these people for a long time. I knew them before they knew each other, actually, or knew about Tracee before she knew Pat. And then we talked about how they got started, and Pat told his love of Arkansas and how he went to architecture school and then ended up back in Little Rock. And Tracee talked about how she had also a life-changing experience when Griffin was born, her daughter, and she was a single mother, and she thought, I have just got to paint. So this passion to paint is a theme in both of y'all's lives. One time, Pat, you said this to me one time. I said, what's it like? Or I don't know what we were talking about. And you were leaving to go pick up Tracee, and I said, oh, Pat, you got paint on your clothes. And you said, yeah, Tracee says. I said that to Tracee one time. I said, everything we own has paint on it. And Tracee said, yeah, isn't it great?
She actually said, thank God for that. It's true.
That's really wonderful.
She's a lot messier than me, though, I can tell you that.
Y'all's car is full of paint. Actually, y'all don't have any paint on you except for what you painted that you're wearing.
Look closely, Kerry.
So if you had to do it over again, Tracee, what would you do different?
You mean as far as
Starting
my career?
starting out on your.
I would have finished with a Bachelor of Arts degree in fine art rather than
Changing to interior design?
Yes, instead of Bachelor of Science degree in interior design.
Do you think it would have changed anything about this trajectory of your life, though?
Well, I mean, I think everything happens for a reason. I learned a lot in interior design that actually goes hand in hand with art, as far as drawing in perspective and just knowledge of what goes into the designing of a commercial establishment or a residential establishment. No, I mean, art, painting, the arts period is just deep within my soul and part of who I am and have been all of my life.
Yeah. So you started in 2002, going out on your own.
2000.
I mean, 2000. You took the
born.
leap at 2000. And Pat, you started in 2002, so she's got you beat.
She does.
She's braver by 2 years. She's braver by 2 years.
I know.
After, so you kind of told everybody before the break that you left your architecture job and decided to
Just paint.
paint. And how did you get in a gallery right off the bat?
Well, it was interesting. When I quit, when that lady talked to me, and I spoke earlier about
The life coach.
the life coach, quitting all 6 jobs and then just decided to paint.
And by 6 jobs, you don't mean 6 real jobs. You mean 6 architecture jobs.
6 architecture jobs,
Yeah.
church. I don't know, I was doing a mini storage. I was working on a huge other church, just a couple of houses and whatnot. But you always had to keep jobs going. But anyway, I was down getting one of my I was painting at night, doing architecture during the day. And then one day, you even came over for dinner.
I bought like 4 paintings right out of your
bought 4
bedroom.
paintings, and I was like,
For
hey,
cheap.
I know, cheap. But for me, that was great,
I mean, today they're worth, oh my gosh.
I mean, I did those when I was on Lake Washita, just standing on the bank,
And I look at those today, and I look at your other stuff today, and they're so, you've evolved so much.
Well, at first, when I first started painting, back to the question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What was the question?
So you decided you were going to paint, and you had done a house for somebody who was called Barry Thomason, who's a very successful local
How did
painter.
I get in that gallery?
How did you get in that gallery?
I was getting one of my paintings framed, and a lady who was in with the group that was starting this local color gallery up in the Heights, she just saw it, and she said, what? I love this. Do you paint professionally? I said, well, I'm wanting to. I'm painting quite a bit now. And she said, would you come up and meet with everybody up there? So I went up and met and applied and got in that gallery. And then that's about the same time when I quit the jobs in architecture and just focused just on painting. So it was in that little local color gallery that I did have my first show. So
what it must be like to just have you just walk around with a painting and people just start buying them from you?
Well, it's it's pretty.
It pays the bills and it's wonderful and
It's a compliment every time someone buys one of your paintings. Just today I had the gallery in Beaver Creek call me and said somebody wants to commission a big painting, and I don't even know these people, but they saw my work and now they want a 40 by 72 of one similar to the one that they didn't get.
Describe your work for everybody if they don't know it.
Well, Tracee and I paint a lot alike.
You
We
do.
both use a lot of color. We both use a lot of paint. Tracee paints outside the lines and I paint inside the lines.
Why do you say that?
Because her paintings, she has these cityscapes and they're just wonderful. Because like say Little Rock, if she's going to do Little Rock, she'll do the Arkansas River in the city, skyline or whatever. Then she'll put the Clinton Library floating up in the upper left-hand corner and a bicyclist and, some other things that are not where they should be,
Gotcha.
But for me, I try to focus, I'm more realistic, I should say.
I don't really think you're realistic, though. You're surrealistic.
Yeah, impressionistic, but I try to keep it, in perspective and where everything falls together. But so, it's been, you asked her, Tracee, the question, what would you do differently? Mm-hmm. I don't think I'd do anything differently because the architecture degree, and it was a tough school, but getting that and then working with clients, doing budgets, having to meet deadlines, all that prepared me for art. And in a way, art and architecture are very similar. If you can put together all these parameters of budget and the site, what the client likes, the time considerations, and design a building that meets all those, that's kind of generally what works.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're painting, if you can take what the client likes or what you like, composition, time, color, if you're going to have complementary colors or not, the way things, darks tie together and lights tie together, perspective, light source, all that, if all that works, then that painting is going to turn out really well.
Didn't Barry Thomason teach you to paint light?
Barry taught me a lot. I mean, I always loved his paintings, and that's why I sought him out. I said, hey man, I got to paint. I love what you do. And not too many guys painted, and we're about the same age.
And you're both men's men.
Well, yeah, he's an outdoor guy, played for the Arkansas Razorbacks. He wouldn't, this guy doesn't look like a painter.
Yeah, like you.
Yeah, so, and he was like, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm an architect. He said, well, come on out to my farm. I need to design a new house and redesign my house. I said, well, cool. He said, well, I'll just trade you out architecture plans for art lessons. And I said, great. So we got along great. And then he would call me and go, hey man, I'm getting ready to go over to Europe for 10 days, and I got this class, and there's a bunch of people coming, and mainly it was, not young guys, more like women, older women, or I don't know. I don't want to be stereotypical, a lot of young women, but Barry would say, what we're going to do, we're going to paint in South France for about a week, and then they'll take off. You and I will rent a car and drive through South France, go through the coast of Spain, paint up the coast of Spain, end up in Paris, and I got a place there, and we can just paint, and then we'll fly home from there.
Yeah, he needed a partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm in.
No kidding.
So anyway, that's how I got started. And,
so you just put an easel on the back of your four-wheeler and go out?
Well, yeah, I have a four-wheeler that has an easel on the back, and I have painted. When I go hunting, I get bored, so I'll just jump off get behind my four-wheeler. You can hear deer coming, You
can?
Yeah, you can. And I was in my stand hunting one day, and I was like, dang, I forgot my brushes. Okay, so I was like, what am I going to do? I had all my paints on the back of the four-wheeler. I was like, So I pulled out my pocket knife. This happens to be one of them. Okay.
Oh yeah, there it is.
All right. So, and I was going to cut a branch.
Oh.
And this is not rehearsed, by the way. I always carry one. But I was going to cut a branch off and create a little palette knife with it. And then I looked at this pocket knife right here, and it has this edge on it. And I thought, well, I could just use that edge and make a painting out of that. And I wipe it clean, and use it and wipe it clean. So anyway, the paintings turned out really cool. They're just small ones. And I'm in my stand, I get back and I post it on Facebook, and with the knife laying next to it, and boom, sold. Somebody said, I'll take it. Right then and there, I said, well, I'll do another one. I think I did like 3 or 4 that weekend. But
that weekend.
And then Brian Hendricks wrote a nice article. He's with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, and he wrote about pocket knife paintings by Pat Matthews.
Oh.
Yeah.
You doing them anymore?
What's that?
You doing them anymore?
You know what? I'd like to. I need to.
Mm-hmm. It's deer season again.
Well, I know. There you go. I'll be there next weekend.
Can't the deer smell the paint?
Not really. I don't think so. I've never had a problem with that. Huh. And I've been turkey hunting too and done the same
When's
thing.
the last time he killed something?
Last year, maybe.
She doesn't know.
No. You went hunting right before Thanksgiving in Texas and did the same thing. I mean, he has turkeys hanging from the four-wheeler.
Yeah.
And his easel and painting.
Tracee, how are you going to top that? Tell us about your painting. How are you going to top that you painted with a knife and flip out a switchblade?
It's not a switchblade.
Oh, I don't know. It looks like one
it's
to me.
assisted.
Oh, assisted. Okay, there's the term.
Well, I'm better than he is, of course.
Oh, I love her. I love her.
She is. Believe me.
No,
Where do you paint? You paint in the house. I've been in your painting room before.
Yeah,
it's a mess.
Well, yeah. Oh, yes. Everything. I've always painted from home, and that's what I wanted to do when I had Griffin. So I was always home. When she slept, I painted. So, which, back in the day, it was wee morning hours that I painted. But so I've always painted at home, and she just went to college this year. Pat and I opened a gallery a few years ago, and so I'm back and forth pretty much full time at the gallery now painting. But while I didn't want to paint at the gallery full time while Griffin was, her senior year at home. So
Is it hard to get motivated when you're down at the gallery? It seems lonely.
I like painting at home better, but I love the gallery. I'm proud of the gallery, and
Is it open all the time?
not yet.
And how do y'all do events down there? I've been to an event at the gallery before, but I think it was commissioned event.
Usually we have Cheers in the Heights cater it, and we'll have it's up to the client. What do you want? And a certain amount of people, and you can come down. We have a full kitchen.
Yeah, so you don't just open it up. You have a client that reserves it and commissions it, and you open it up, and they give you the guest list. So I can't go on Facebook and look for an event day that you're going to open the gallery.
Okay. Well, they'll call us, and we just set it up. You would just call us and say
Onesie twosies? Can 2 or 3
any day
people?
you want.
Anybody?
I mean, anybody, any day you want. If you wanted to, rent the gallery for a special event.
Can you have private tour though? Can someone come down and say, I just want to come and see what you got?
Of course. Oh, and we're going to have open hours. We've already actually started that. Tuesdays through Saturdays from 11 to 4, sometimes 11 to 5.
You are?
So we're about to make that in stone. It's
So
been
no,
hard as an
don't hold your
artist.
breath. Y'all travel constantly.
Well, we travel a lot, and the thing is, it's an open studio, open by appointment.
there
anytime.
you go. Open
Yes.
by appointment.
Come on down. We're both painting there, and then we do travel a lot. So we were just gone for 10 days. We hired somebody to work the gallery while we
Oh,
were gone.
So we
and
have
we're doing the partners card thing down there this week.
Oh,
And
that's
so
good
you
to
save
know.
20% off anything in the store and off any of our prints. And my wife, she has her own prints, signed limited edition prints, and I do. We both have our own online stores. You can shop on those. They're on our websites.
What is your website?
PatMatthewsArt.com.
And Art by Tracee.
And Tracee's with two E's.
.com.
TRACEE. She's an artist.
Well, she taught me all about getting on Facebook and doing this social media thing, and it's huge.
Tracy's good at it.
She's good at it.
Well, I wanted to say something about Brenda Hogan. You had
Yeah.
asked me about would I do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Brenda Hogan, when I worked for her in design all of those years, she taught me a lot about business and I didn't know what a proposal was and a statement and an invoice and,
Purchase order.
purchase order. She taught me so much about business and marketing and just, of course, it's a lot different than it was then, but, with social media and the internet and everything. But, for her, she taught me so much.
People should follow you. Y'all do both post on Facebook. So Tracee, what's your Facebook?
It's artbytracee.com.
Artbytracee.com. You're on all the time. You're painting and posting stuff all the time. What's your Facebook page?
I'm just under Pat Matthews or Pat Matthews Artist. I have a regular page and a professional page. But it's so true as an artist. If you're not a marketer, you're not going to make it.
I know.
And so
You're both smart in business.
You have to market your work, and you have to meet your deadlines. And it's work. It is.
You do approach it like that.
Yeah, I teach some classes, and
You do? Where?
at my gallery. And so I'll do a group of 2 or 3, and then I'll do individual classes. But it's interesting. The people that it's like when I've learned from several people over the years. Robert Moore, Barry Thomas, just a few of those. Robert's up in Idaho. But they paint. It's all about, you paint 100 paintings in 100 days, okay? You're going to learn something. You can't just sit around the coffee shop and smoke clove cigarettes and talk about painting. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of artists do, or what brush you're going to use or whatever, just get some paint and paint. She, when she was first starting out, didn't have the money to buy canvases, so she painted on ceiling tiles with house paint and sold them, and that's a painter.
That's a painter.
Yeah.
You
well,
just-
I couldn't afford it. So I was a single mom with with Griffin, baby girl, and
no support from dad,
well, and so I didn't have the money, and so I started out on ceiling tiles with the least expensive paint you could buy. And finally, one day, then I went to wood, which I think you have.
I do.
Wood
I have
painting.
wood.
And then finally, one day, I was able to buy canvas and quality paints, and I mean,
And
it was a blessing.
Paints are not cheap.
No, they're not.
And y'all use like a tube on a quarter of your page, both
Yeah.
of y'all.
I
It's a
buy my
blessing.
paint in caulking tubes and just squirt it out in big,
And in caulking tubes.
Yeah, my buddy told me, he goes, up in Idaho, Robert Moore, he said, would you want someone, a doctor working on a cheap instrument, and afraid to use it, to throw it away and use a clean one, you know what I mean? He said, you got to paint like you're a millionaire. You really do. And so it's funny, sometimes when I've taught classes, these people come in and they have these paints and, they lay it out and they'll put one little bitty, looks like a bird dropping, on the of each color. And I'll just swoop that up with a half a brush and, then I'll grab their entire little tube of paint and just squeeze the whole thing out. Say, that's your yellow, that's your orange, that's your red, that's your alizarin. Now, paint the painting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're like, oh. But it turns out better.
Yeah.
It does.
It's freeing.
Yeah.
I imagine it's freeing.
And the texture,
You paint texture. You both paint texture.
We both do it. She does the same thing. I mean, she just squirts it out like crazy,
I wish you could buy the caulking tubes for acrylic paint, but you can't, since they're
Y'all paint
water-based.
two different. You paint.
I'm in oils and she's in acrylics.
I didn't know anybody still really painted in oils.
Yeah, I do. I like it. I like the medium, but acrylics are great. The colors in acrylics, I really love.
Are brighter, I think.
It's just oil. When you're painting outside, doesn't dry quickly, so you can manipulate the painting. For me, and I've just always learned that way. So
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with husband and wife artists Tracee and Pat Matthews. We've already talked about their style of painting, but I want to tell y'all where you can see Pat paint November the 12th. He's going to be painting at the Arkansas Art Center. And it's a free, and do you paint with two hands? Or is that your friend that paints with two hands?
I paint with two hands.
Yeah, he paints with two hands. It's really fun to watch him paint. It's like, it's like a maestro. So he's going to be up there painting, and I guess it'll be auctioned off for a fundraiser, whatever you paint.
Right.
And so we're going to talk about that event because it's a cool event. It's with, what's that guy's Monday's name?
Rick Monday.
Rick Monday. We'll talk about him. Don't give it away. And then, what was I going to say? Something else. Oh, well, I can't remember. But first, I want to remind everybody we're broadcasting live every Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Time on both KABF 88.3 FM, The Voice of the People, and flagandbanner.com's Facebook page. And that after 1 week of every show's airing, a podcast is made available on all popular listening sites and YouTubes. Oh, I know what I want to say. I want to say we're also going to talk about that 9/11 event that you painted that flag painting for.
Okay.
And what happened, because we told that on Facebook before the show, but we did not share it with our radio listeners. So when we come back, you'll get the rest of the story.
Boost morale and patriotism with a new flag or flagpole from Arkansas's flagandbanner.com. We have poles, hardware, accessories, maintenance support, installation, and custom flags. We have flags of all kinds. For the sports enthusiast, the world traveler, or history buff, we have them all. Bring in your old flag and get $5 off a new one. Consult the experts at arkansasflagandbanner.com. Come shop our historic location at 800 West 9th Street in Little Rock or visit us online at flagandbanner.com.
Flagandbanner.com is proud to underwrite Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. This weekly radio show and podcast offers listeners firsthand insight into starting and running a business, the ups and downs of risk-taking, and the commonalities of successful people shared in a conversational interview with Kerry. Along with this radio show, flagandbanner.com publishes a free biannual magazine called Brave. First published in October 2014, this magazine features everyday people's real-life stories of bravery. Its goal, to inspire you to celebrate your own bravery and challenge you to recognize it in others. The Department of Arkansas Heritage recognized Brave Magazine's documentation of American life and microfiches all editions for the Arkansas State Archives. Free subscriptions and advertising opportunities are available at flagandbanner.com by selecting Magazine, where you can read previous stories and learn about advertising opportunities.
Thank you, Chris. I forgot to tell everybody that we were going to give the phone number out right when you came back, but we're going to give the phone number out. You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, and I'm speaking today with Tracee and Pat Matthews, nationally successful oil and acrylic painters that just happen to be married and live in Little Rock, Arkansas, and are living a romantic life. I'm just telling you. If you've got a question or you want to make a comment, you can call or go on flagandbanner.com's Facebook page. But if you want to call, write this number down and call.
501-433-0088.
And if you're shy, you can just creep on my weekly blog about life as a small business owner at flagandbanner.com. Or as I said earlier, you can listen to any of our podcasts. Today's will be up by next week. So I want to take this opportunity to give a big shout out and a thank you to Centennial Bank for partnering with the Friends of Dreamland Ballroom and sponsoring this year's Dancing into Dreamland, which is tonight.
It's here.
It's madhouse over there. But it's going to be beautiful. And it's sold out. I think there's a few tickets left, but it's pretty much sold out. We've talked with Pat and Tracee about how they got started being artists. We've talked about their inspiration. We've talked about their style of painting. Now I want to talk a little bit about this upcoming event. Tracee, are you going to the event?
I will be there.
But you're not painting.
I'm not participating.
So
Pat.
Pat's doing it. This upcoming event is kind of a trip. It's MacArthur Museum in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas, and they're having Rick Monday as the presenter. And he is the outfielder who played in the World Series championship game in 1981 for the Dodgers. He's coming to downtown Little Rock for a fundraiser to benefit MacArthur Museum, and the event's called Baseball and the American Flag, and it's going to be at the Children's Theater Arkansas Art Center, and it's free.
Well, actually, the presentation is free, but the initial 5 to 6:30 meeting with Rick Monday is going to be $125 or $150 a ticket. I'm not sure.
Well, good, because I thought, what kind of a fundraiser is going to be free?
Yeah, and we've also got some corporate sponsors already that have bought.
How did this event come about?
Well, as you know, I've been known for painting the American flag.
You want to tell everybody how that started?
Well,
You want to tell that first, or you want to tell Rick's story first? Which one?
Okay.
Let's tell the American flag story first.
Okay. The night of 9/11, I went to buy an American flag, and everybody was sold out, including your store.
Arkansas Flag and Banner.
Right. That's where I went first,
Thank
of
you.
course. But anyway, everybody was sold out, and of course, everybody was upset. I was pissed off, and I was painting at home from my downstairs studio. So I painted my first American flag, and it was very rough and thick paint and just heavy strokes. And I showed it to people the next day, and they were like, "Oh my God, I love it! I just
Weren't
love
you
it."
painting another painting at the time?
Well, what had happened was I'd been on a trip over to Spain, and I had an unfinished canvas, and I just decided to paint over that. Okay, so it gave it this 3D look, because I had paint over paint, and I left some of that paint shining through or showing through. But I ended up selling prints of it, and I took the money and I flew to New York to Ladder Company 54, which is, they lost 15 men. They lost the most men. And I brought 343 prints, the money that I'd made, and the original painting, and presented it to them. They didn't really know what to do with anything but the money, know. And we still don't know where that original painting is, okay? Nobody...
They don't have it there?
No. Somebody has it somewhere. I would love to find it. But anyway, I got back, and then the local news agencies did a little story on that. And then it kind of took off. Now I have American flag paintings in every state. I have all sorts of country flags, and I'm real well known for, the governor has one in his office here, the mayor does, the mayor of North Little Rock, and some other people, they're all around, and I think you might even have one. But
I do.
But it's just kind of a niche that I fell into, and I've been able to do a lot of good with them. I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for charities with them. The last one in Dallas, went for close to $15,000 for Ronald McDonald House. And I had one at the Ritz-Carlton in Beaver Creek, Colorado, go for $30,000.
What?
Yeah. So, you know.
You're like, get out of that back, please.
I can't write that big check, but I can paint the painting.
Yeah,
so
right.
this is what leads to this event coming up. Rick Monday is well known for playing for the Dodgers. And back in 1976, there's some people that broke out onto the field, and they had an American flag, and one of them was spraying lighter fluid on it, and the other one was trying to light it. This was during a game. And Rick came by and grabbed that painting right out from underneath and right before they lit it on fire. Grabbed that flag right before they lit it on fire. Well, that's known as one of the most 100 memorable moments in baseball history.
Oh.
Yeah. So he also spent 6 years in the Marine Corps, and he's from Arkansas. So he's coming to town, and on November 12th, I'm going to be doing a painting of that flag, which is kind of tattered and older, and then I'm going to have him come by my gallery, and I want him to put a couple of strokes on it with me, and he'll sign it and I'll sign it, and then we'll auction that painting off to benefit the Arkansas Military Museum here in Little Rock. It's going to be a pretty cool event, and then afterwards, I'm not sure exactly whoever buys the painting will be able to keep it. And their donations are 100% tax deductible.
Yeah.
And people do that all the time, but I'm looking forward to that event.
So you can come at 5 to 6:30 for $125 to actually meet Rick Monday, this Arkansan. He was also, he's the most famous for saving the American flag.
Right.
But I thought we were getting a call. No?
I glanced over, but I didn't see anything.
Okay.
Oh, I'm just watching you out of the corner of my eye.
I know.
I'm always watching you, Chris. But he's also played in a World Series. I didn't realize he was from Arkansas.
Yeah, I believe he's from Batesville, and he's an iconic figure and Dr. Glenn Davis here in Little Rock is kind of set this whole thing up, and I was hoping he'd call in and talk about it, but anyway, it's not uncommon for Tracee and myself to be approached by different charities to paint.
Oh, he's calling. I think we've got a phone call. Yeah. You're listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. I'm speaking today with Pat and Tracee Matthews. Have you got a question for us?
I want to make a comment about Rick Monday and the American flag.
Yes, come on.
Tie in. This happened a ways back, but it's definitely part of his resume. But 1976, he was playing for the Cubs, I believe, in left field. And this, by the way, this video is on YouTube. We're seeing a protester through America went out in the field, left field, put an American flag on the ground, set it on fire. Rick Monday chased him down, got the flag, and put it out. Did you know that?
Yeah, Pat just told us. You're not listening. You're not listening to the show.
I listened to it. Okay, all right.
No, thanks for calling. Yeah, thanks. You got busted out. He's not listening. Did y'all know that? Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was an Arkansan, though.
Yeah, so it's just a unique deal.
Whose idea was it to put all this event together?
It was Dr. Glenn Davis, who's a friend of mine, and he's quite a philanthropist himself. He is in big with cystic fibrosis. Last year, Tracee, for the last several years, Tracee and I have always donated to that event here in Little Rock.
Do y'all ever paint together for events?
Have we painted
We
together?
have it at the governor's mansion once.
Oh yeah, we did
I
at the
believe.
governor's mansion.
Because she doesn't like to paint out in public.
No, she does.
Oh, I love it.
She's
Oh, you
all
do?
over it. Yeah.
I've painted live at many events.
And you paint anything. Pat pretty much just paints on canvases, but you will paint. You paint purses.
I sew them myself too.
You sew purses and paint purses. You've got great gift ideas for Christmas for everybody. I love the little. What size do you think those little paintings are? That
A little 4 inch by 4 inch.
they're 4x4s, and I think I have one that may be 6x6, and they're hearts, and they're very brilliant, very vibrant. I love them. And then you do Santa Clauses.
Yes, anything you want.
And another thing that's really cool that she's done is we have these coaster sets for a set of 4 coasters. It's very affordable, and they're images of the paintings that we've done. So I have, the old mill in Arkansas. I've got some southern scenes of ducks flying.
Well, that's kind of full circle with you, since your grandfather built the old mill, and then you paint the old mill.
I love painting the old mill, and I've done it quite a few times. And anyway, so the coasters are the nice little gift items are good. So if you're thinking about coming down, thinking about Christmas, don't forget about the Matthews Fine Art Gallery. We're down at 909 North Street, which is by Cantrell and Chester, or just look us up on Facebook.
Yeah, so they can Google up what's the name of the gallery again?
Matthews Fine Art Gallery.
And we'll put a link there on the Flag and Banner website. So if people go to flagandbanner.com and click on this podcast, they can see the link there and get the hours, because y'all do travel all the time.
Right, and it's probably best to our phone numbers, personal phone numbers, and emails are on there, to just make an appointment to come see us. We try to stay open as much as possible, but when you're heading out of town.
How do you balance inventory? How do you balance the part of your life that's about building inventory and then the part of your life that's about selling your inventory? How do you balance all of that?
Well, we take it just one step at a time, in increments. You have to be a business person. It's the opposite side of the brain for me, but I don't know if that answered your question.
She didn't even want to talk about it. She didn't like it at all.
Well, I don't like the business part. I love the marketing part, but to sit down and do the inventory and all of that, it's, I'll do it, but I just want to paint.
Yeah.
Well, the way I do it is I will travel to Beaver Creek, Colorado, or Santa Fe, New Mexico, and stay there for 10 days to 2 weeks and paint every day. And then I leave them. They're glad to see me leave, because everybody has paint all over them. The walls have paint all over them. There's no more room in my area for my paintings. And you can't set them on the ground because they're painted on top, bottom, edges.
Oh, they don't need to be framed.
No
more framing. That's kind of out these days.
Well, you can frame them if you're here in Little Rock, but if they're going to be sold to somebody in Chicago or something like that and shipped out there,
better not to frame them.
It's not. I don't want to pick frames. And people, they'll say, "Hey, I love the painting, but I hate the frame," and
That's right.
whatever. So I just paint the edges of mine. And that way I love it, because the gallery can't put them on the ground. They can't put them in a rack in the back.
They
gotta
have
put
to hang
on the
them
wall.
up.
Yeah. And then, so that's one way I get inventory to the galleries. Now, I've had I'm blessed. I don't have a lot of inventory here, but when I do, I typically have it shipped out, but one thing that's been a real cool deal is this whole PatMatthewsPrints.com.
Yes.
So I've gotten into this from Tracee, learning about the internet and all this. I set up a website. I have some of my best paintings in limited edition prints, that are much more affordable. Say they're 1/10 of the price of an original, and they're super high quality. They're on canvas.
Oh, I love it when you can print a digital print on canvas. They look so good.
Well, I tell you what, this guy who's doing it, and I'll give a big shout out to George Chambers. He's in downtown Little Rock. He's the best in the country.
Really?
You actually have to walk up to these prints and touch them. People go, "I love that painting." I'm like, "It's a print." They'll go, "No way, it's not. I'm looking. They're 2 inches from it." I'm like, "Just touch it."
It's a print.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, he's fabulous. So he does prints for Tracee and I, and that's been kind of cool, because if you can't keep up with inventory, then selling limited edition prints is a nice way to pay the bills,
You also have picked up some architecture jobs lately. Sometimes people will just make it, it's just, you can't refuse it. It's just irresistible.
Right.
You're doing an interesting architecture job right now, aren't you?
I am. I don't know if I should talk about it,
okay.
but there's well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Should I tell him that?
Of course you should.
Okay, so anyway.
I love how the husband has to ask the wife, "Can I do that?" Y'all are perfect.
I taught him well.
We have a collector I designed her house on Lake Hamilton, or redesigned her house on Lake Hamilton, and she bought a bunch of my artwork and a huge painting of Tracee. She's a big fan of both of our work. And anyway, so she ended up buying the Hamilton house over in Hot Springs. And so I am remodeling the Hamilton house. It's a wonderful project. It's got the famous tunnel that Al Capone walked up through. It's really cool, and it sits on 4.5 acres. And now there's another project that's down below it, the boathouse that I'm working on. And it's been kind of fun, because I still paint, and I'm the architecture. I still am a licensed architect. I work too hard to let it go. But she just said, you're going to do it. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. She said, you're going to do it. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. She said, you're doing it. I said, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
So is it going to be open to the public?
No, this will be her private lake house.
She's going to have the Hamilton house as her private lake house.
Yes, but it'll also have Tracee and hopefully it will have Tracee's work and my work hanging throughout it, you know.
Well, and Patrick Cunningham
Yeah.
is doing a mural in the tunnel.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to
No, Patrick's
talk
fine.
about it. Oh, but no,
Yeah.
he's fabulous.
He is fabulous. And he moved to Hot Springs.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So anyway, I let the cat out of the bag on that. But
Oh, it
but
doesn't
this
matter.
this woman is really, really sweet, and she's a friend, and
She's
so-
going to have art throughout that whole house. She's got 3 great artists. I had Patrick's.
Patrick Cunningham's amazing. And
He's amazing.
I recommended that he be the guy to do it.
You did.
know? So anyway, so that's winding down, and now we've got Christmas season coming up, and you know we're going to be getting after it with painting and you know creating gifts. And
So let's tell everybody before the show's over, because it's almost over. Let's tell everybody how they can get in touch with you again, Pat. Where do they call? What do they do?
Okay, if you just look up Pat Matthews Art on Google, okay, and that'll lead you to my website, which has my phone number and my email address. So patmatthewsart.com is my website, and then you can find my email and my phone number right there. Please call me.
Do y'all have it linked together? Do y'all share? Why don't y'all link up?
Well, we do with the Matthews Fine Art Gallery website. You
So,
can also
okay.
look that up on Facebook. And then Tracee.
Matthews Fine Art Gallery is matthewsfineartgallery.com is the website, and it's linked to the artists that we have in the gallery. We also have James Hayes and Paula Young. I'm missing somebody.
Michelle Renee.
Michelle Renee, yes, very good friend of mine. She's a fabulous abstract artist. We have her.
Up and coming, super.
And anyway, matthewsfineartgallery.com.
Or Tracy's?
Or mine is Art by Tracee with 2 E's.
And we're going to have all of this contact information on flagandbanner.com. Plus, we'll go ahead and put some information on there about the event that'll be happening November the 12th at the Art Center. If you want to see a Rick Monday, you can do it. Who's my guest next week?
Well, we're going to replay the July 2017 interview of the Bruno Brothers from Bruno's Little Italy.
Can you believe I'm gone again? It's like every other week I've been gone or traveling. I'm just trying to be like the Matthews over
I
there.
guess so.
Just traveling all the time. So the reason I decided to do the Bruno Brothers is because their interview, both of the brothers were on here, and they are characters. And they were just on the Food Channel. Did y'all see their spot on the Food? They had an episode on the Food Channel. Guy Ferrari from Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Yes.
He came to Little Rock and cooked with the Bruno Brothers, and I saw it last week. And I thought, I'm going to rerun their episode because they were really, really good.
May I say something real quick?
Sure.
Okay. When I first met you,
Yes.
okay,
Uh-oh.
you were thinking about buying the Arkansas Flag and Banner building at 800 West 9th Street, okay? It had a huge hole in the roof where a fire had been there. So you hired the Melberger firm, which I worked for, to come over and look at it. And so we looked at it, we were like, my other architecture buddies were like, this isn't going to happen. There's no way this is going to happen. This woman's crazy, but you're a visionary. You really are. And you said, no, this is going to work. So we all got back to the Melberger firm, and we're sitting there, and one of these guys are very serious, and the one in charge is more concerned about codes and all this and that. You went over and sat on his lap, okay? Gave him a big old kiss on the cheek.
Sold.
Okay, and said, Gary, I know you can make this happen. Okay,
And he said,
and his
sure.
face turned beet red. Okay, well, that afternoon, all he could talk about is, boy, that Kerry is one smart woman. We're going to get that thing done. It's going to happen. You did, you sold that. Oh, it was hilarious.
You can't do that anymore.
Oh, there was nothing inappropriate about it. It was just funny. You just, if people don't know Kerry, they don't know how outgoing and how fun she is. And but anyway, that was just a story, and I wanted to thank you for
You're
having
welcome.
us on
You're
today.
welcome.
You're so sweet.
You're welcome.
Known you for a long time.
Long time. I've got a gift for y'all. Hold on. Where is it? All right. Since y'all travel all the time, I got y'all a cooler to stick in the back of your car. Flagandbanner.com cooler.
Oh,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Put your sandwiches in there and put it on the back of the four-wheeler, and off you go.
Oh, you are so sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's really sweet. I love it that you told that story,
I know.
actually. No. I was trying not to interrupt. I wanted to interrupt the whole time you're saying, but I didn't.
I knew what was coming.
You did. I looked at Tracy's face. She went, oh, no. To our listeners, I'd like to thank you for spending time with me. If you think this program's been about you, you're right, but it's also been for me. Thank you for letting me fulfill my destiny. My hope today is that you've heard or learned something that's been inspiring or enlightening, and that it, whatever it is, will help you up your business, your independence, or your life. I'm Kerry McCoy, and I'll see you next time on Up in Your Business. Until then, be brave and keep it up.
You've been listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. If you miss any part of this show or want to learn more about UIYB, go to flagandbanner.com and click on Radio Show, or subscribe to her weekly podcast wherever you like to listen. All interviews are recorded and posted the following week with links to resources you heard discussed on today's show. And Kerry's goal to help you live the American dream.